Yo, what's up guys, Samux Plays here, and we're gonna go ahead and ignore that intro and pretend it never happened, but I did want to discuss some things today. I wanted to go over what I believe to be the best all-rounder bunny build for these invasion dungeons. And before we get started, keep in mind that this build is going to rely heavily, as always, on your external components, so you are going to need to have decent rolls on your externals, such as like double max HP roll, and then another max HP, another max HP, and then you can throw in a little bit of defense if you want to, because this build is not going to be using the increased defense mod unless you want to take out something like range or a little bit of damage to slot that in to give you a little bit more survivability. But assuming that you have 4 external components that have HP and then 1 with defense on it, you should be okay theoretically. Now the main thing about these invasion dungeons that makes it difficult is 1, you have to have a good gun, because if you don't have a good gun, by the time you get to the end boss, it has auto tracking, it has a lot of mob spawning. You are going to have a built up gun to deal with these bosses if you are trying to get that gold trophy and finish it in 1 rotation. So I highly recommend the Enduring Legacy with sharp precision shot on it, because it's going to ramp out that damage really quickly, and the goal of it is to down the boss before he resets his phase essentially, and you have to do the mechanic again, because that is going to cost you a lot of time. So you are going to have to find a way to down these bosses in 1 rotation before he resets, and the best way I have found is Enduring Legacy, obviously, because it's like one of the most broken guns in the game, or I won't say broken, it's one of the best guns in the game. You don't have to have a maxed EL, you could do something like a Greg's or a Secret Garden. However, EL is going to pull way ahead because Bunny is not going to gain value off the Secret Garden. I still think it's a really solid gun. I think it's a good gun. If you have one maxed out, I think it's absolutely usable, but you kind of want something with a big magazine size so you can just throw on either mental focus if you're using Glay, and or sharp precision shot if you're using Bunny. The ideal scenario would be a Bunny with a maxed Enduring Legacy, and you'll be able to clear the bosses in 1 rotation. I know these bosses can be difficult, especially with the auto tracking and how much HP they have. Keep in mind they are getting nerfed, I believe, next week. However, if you're wanting to clear these now, which I assume all of you do because it gives you so much gold and everything like that, as well as the Haley shards, you are going to have to build up a gun. That is extremely important. So decide on what gun you want to use. Decide if you're going to use Bunny and or another Descendant, because obviously if you main like another Descendant like Freyna or something, you would want to prioritize Secret Garden, right? But definitely I think Max Enduring Legacy and this Bunny build is going to be, I've done all my invasions with this build, I've had 0 troubles. It's kind of like an all-rounder build. And always make sure you have a good reactor on. This isn't even the best reactor, but I'm leveling up my piercing light for Haley, so I wanted to get a reactor for it. And on this one, you want to have skill cost, because with this all-rounder build, it's all about being able to permanently run fast while doing good damage while also staying alive. So it kind of has everything. So you do want to get a reactor that has skill cost. If you are going to use the Enduring Legacy, try and get a skill cost on your reactor, and it will let you run much more efficiently. So let's go ahead and jump into the build here. Now this is going to be the build that I prefer to run my invasions with, and I think overall this is just like a great all-rounder build, and I'll go into a little bit of detail why I think this build is so good. It can change depending on what your problem is with the dungeon. So like, let's say you are struggling with survivability, you could take out either one of these 2 mods, like skill expansion. If you just said, you know what, I don't want range in this build, I am not able to survive, you could just swap that out with increased defense like this, and then we go from like 9k defense to 24k defense, right? Like it's a huge boost. We just got like almost triple defense with that 1 mod, right? So if you are struggling with survivability, that is always an option. However, me personally, I want the range, so I am going to keep the build as is. So the reason why I'm using this build, if anyone's wondering, so This is going to be kind of like the best of both worlds. You're kind of getting everything. So let's start off with maximize conservation. So this is going to give me way more uptime on my speed of light ability because it is reducing my skill cost. So that is going to make me be able to just run much more effectively, and I'm not going to run out of my mana like super quickly, right? So this is going to give me more uptime on speed of light. And then, of course, we always have these mods, right? The skill concentration and skill insight. These are just going to be great for boosting your damage. Electric specialist is going to be boosting our damage, as well as singular specialist. Then, of course, we have the increased HP mod, which is going to give us more survivability. And then we have more damage here, like skill critical hit rate damage. The reason why I threw in time distribution here is because it gives us a little bit more max HP percentage. We don't necessarily need the skill cooldown. So if I scroll over here, you see our main damage ability, like the lightning emission, or high voltage, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be right now with this build at a 17.5 second cooldown. And then if I take my reactor off, right, because this does have skill cooldown on it, so it's kind of cheating. Let me take that off. And then we jump up to a 18.9 second cooldown. So if we scroll down there, the duration is going to be 20 seconds. So this gives me 100% uptime on my 3 ability, which is what we're going to be using to clear the mobs. And if I take that off, it is going to not give us 100% anymore, right? It's going to be, so without a cooldown, skill cooldown on your reactor, and without time distribution, now we're at a 22 second cooldown. We're going to have 2 seconds where we cannot use our 3 ability. I don't like that. I want to have 100% uptime on it. So that is why we throw on time distribution here. And then of course we have this skill expansion just to give us a little bit more increased range. So this isn't going to give you like a huge range boost. I mean, it is, but usually, you know, you would run like skill expansion with maximized range, and then it would just be like huge range, right? It'd be like nuking half the map or whatever. But I kind of find it unnecessary to run double range mods just because I feel like with high voltage, it's just really not needed in my opinion. I think it's totally fine to skip out on the maximized range, and then we slot in like more damage for singular specialists instead, so our 3 ability or our lightning emission is proccing a little bit more damage. So that's why the build is the way it is. Hopefully I kind of broke it down so y'all can understand my mindset and why I think this is like one of the most viable builds for invasion dungeons. As I said, if you are struggling in survivability, you could take out the range for increased defense, and then you're going to have absolutely no troubles at all. However, I don't feel like it's needed personally, but again, it's going to depend heavily on your external components, because just with this double defense roll on this component, it's like, you know, it's giving me almost 10k defense, right? So it's basically this plus my base stats. So if you are going for this build, make sure you do have some decent external components, because if you have really crappy ones, it is not going to it's not going to be as good. Like, you won't get as much HP or defense if you have like bad external components. So they are extremely important. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hop into one of the invasion dungeons today. I'm going to show you guys a run. I'm not going to make this like a half-hour long video. I will make sure to cut the dungeon time down quite significantly and only highlight the points that are like really important. So let's go ahead and hop into that. That way I can kind of showcase the build, and you'll kind of make up your own conclusion if it's a build that you want to invest in or work around. So we're going to go to the Asylum, and we're going to go ahead and enter this. All right, so let's go ahead and start this up. So we got 4 pillar. I just nickname them whatever. So this one has a pillar in the 4th slot. Let's go check the other 2 just to make sure. Pillar in the 3rd slot, pillar in the 3rd slot. So we know it's that first one, right? The reason for that is because this pillar signifies the 4th slot. So that's why 4 dots means 4th slot. So it's this one for sure. So we're just gonna crack that bad boy open, pick up the gun, and we're gonna go shoot the door. Here's a little trick you can do with the door. You don't have to wait for the beam to finish. Like, watch this. If you click immediately after, you can fire it like way faster. You do not have to wait for that beam to like go all the way down. So just in case you didn't know that. All right, we got 2 upside down mushroom. That has it, but I should probably get 2 symbols just to be sure. 2 mushroom, 1 pillar. So it's not this one. It's not that one, so it has to be the last one over here. Alright, so it's gonna be this one right here. I kind of got in my head a little bit, so I went back and looked, but yeah, should be this one. There we go, and then we pick up the gun, start shooting the door. We do the laser trick, so we can just do it quicker. You just fire as soon as you see the beam going down. Alright, then we gotta do it again. Alright, we got 3 backwards C. This one does have it, but I want to go check the other ones just to make sure. 3 backwards C, 2 mushroom. 3 backwards C. It's not that one. All right, so it's that first one. It was that first one, so we're gonna go back and grab it. Shoot the door. And we do it one more time. Wow, that poison stuff hit me for so much. All right, 1 cup. Or pillar, whatever. That's not that one. All right, so it's gonna be this one because this is the only one with the pillar in the number 1 slot. So it has to be that one. There we go. Pick up the gun and we're gonna shoot the door. All right, we gotta do it one last time and then we'll be good. So we have to do this part pretty quick because I lost some time trying to triple check my work. So, all right, 4 upside down mushroom. It's not that one. There we go. Pick up the gun and then now we're gonna shoot the boss. Where is she? There she is. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. And then you're just gonna nuke her. Basically, you want to kill her before that yellow bar under her fills up. That's basically the idea. That way you don't have to do a second phase. Wow, that boss was annoying, just literally jumping everywhere and freezing you. But yeah, anyways, that's how you're gonna do it, guys. Like, obviously it's gonna be, I lost a lot of time because I second guessed myself, so I went back to check the pillars like 2 or 3 times just because my brain is like peanut brain. But that's essentially how you would do it. Now, again, this is going to be a little bit harder if you don't have like a max DL, but if you have like another gun that's like really built up, you could absolutely try using that. The reason why EL is so good is just because it has such a big mag size and SPS gives you like a lot of damage really quickly, so that's basically the idea behind that. And that's pretty much it, guys. So obviously I'm never gonna say that I put out like the insane most optimal builds, but in my testing this build definitely does well. Of course, as always, if you do plan to copy the build, be sure to understand that somebody can come out with a better build and or a more optimized build. I will never claim that this is like the best build that is absolutely possible. I'll never say that because that's just setting myself up for failure if somebody comes out with a better one. But from my testing, this is absolutely a solid build. It does everything I need it to. It gives me damage, a little bit of range, some MP reduction so I can keep running faster. Overall, I'd say this is one of the best all-rounder builds, for sure. Like, absolutely. And as I said, if you are struggling because you're dying too quickly, even with this build on, you could just slot out the range for increased defense and that should give you a lot more survivability. Or if you really wanted to, you could catalyst to a C slot and then throw on something like Battle of Stamina to give you more increased HP, since HP is so valuable. But I don't think it's necessary. I think you should be totally fine with just, if you're having a hard time surviving, just slotting this out for increased defense and you should be totally fine. Basically, just keep in mind you need a pretty solid gun to clear these. They are getting nerfed, so it probably won't be as hard next week, but I just wanted to showcase this build that it can absolutely get it done. no issues. I didn't really have a hard time surviving up until I got hit with the poison thing. That was like the only time where I was like, oh, that hit me super hard. But that ability in general is just broken. It's absolutely dumb. So, but yeah, guys, that's going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching. If I did help you out, or maybe you learned something new, please consider dropping a sub. It does go a very long way. I appreciate it greatly. I am Samux Plays. Y'all have a great night and or day, depending on when you're watching, and y'all take care. Peace.